Are we rolling? Yeah, we're rolling. All right, guys. Good morning. This is Hala Pablo. Thank you for tuning in. Let's look at Bitcoin. We've seen some significant action this past, 24 hours, 48 hours. Nothing out of the ordinary. Perfectly reasonable. What we've anticipated, what we've come to expect. Nothing is taking us by surprise because we follow it daily and we track its movements on both the macro and the micro, as well as its volume, the buying and the selling pressure of the bears and the bulls. That's all it is, right? It's a tug of war. And we have been tracking the patterns that it's been forming. If you've been watching this channel, if you've been following my Bitcoin updates, you should have a very good idea of where we are. It should be like a familiar story, like watching a like watching a Netflix series. It's just you get your update and you remember what happened last week, and you pick up from there, and you go and you begin to familiarize yourself with the characters and the plots and the subplots and all that stuff, all the details. We should have the same kind of relationship with crypto, with our coins, with what we've invested in. And of course, Bitcoin is like the Sopranos of the if crypto were just one gigantic Netflix series with a whole bunch of different, you have Sons of Anarchy and you have Sopranos and Game of Thrones and all, for me it would be Sopranos. But anyway, that's how familiar you should be with this. So if you're following it day by day, like we do, then none of this should be taking you by surprise as the plot continues to unfold. So here we go. I have this on the macro and the micro. This is Bitcoin on the daily, and this is Bitcoin on the 15-minute. And like I've talked to my group this morning, I sent them a chart with these two regions on these two wedges circled. And I asked them if they could identify the pattern. What I'm trying to stress is pattern recognition, guys. Pattern recognition is everything in crypto, especially in crypto. But pattern recognition is the meat and potatoes of how you're going to make your money, how you're going to prognosticate movements, not so much moving averages and Bollinger Bands and SMAs and RSIs and MACDs and Ichimoku clouds and all of these things. I'm not knocking indicators. I use indicators from time to time. I use all of them from time to time. But the meat and potatoes has always been pattern recognition with volume, for me at least. And it's what's I believe that is the main thing that traders, especially new traders, should focus on and make their bones on is volume and price action as it plays out within the patterns. And here we see two patterns that Bitcoin is forming, two identical patterns, almost a cookie cutter, right? We see this would be called a rising or an ascending, broadening wedge, or an expanding wedge. You see how the higher highs and a series of lower highs, and what makes it expanding is as the waves climb the wedge, the spread is increasing. The candle spread, or the waves, the Elliott waves within the wedges are growing or expanding or widening, which is causing the wedge pattern to expand. We even see it on here on the micro. Now although these are similar wedges, they're on different time frames. This top, like I said, is a daily time frame, and this is back when Bitcoin hit its low back in November of 22. We see the beginning. Really, I counted the first wedge, the first part of the wedge, the one wave from when the wedge started off from down here at support. It hit this is trading range resistance, this top horizontal white line right here. And I counted that as the one wave. It came back down to support. And then the three wave here, you'll see usually the three waves or the four waves in these expanding, widening wedges will often either bifurcate or subdivide. See, on here, the three wave subdivided here, and then on this one, on the micro, the 4-wave subdivided. And so all it is a retest of either support or resistance. You see, here's a retest. This second, subdivision, which tried to make its way back up to this would be the macro trend resistance, and didn't quite make it, and came back down to macro trend support. Well, then here on the micro, remember this is the 15-minute, the wave retested support on this would be the micro trend resistance, or rather the micro trend support twice. So it's subdivided to the lower, this subdivided to the higher. But it's the same thing. It's the same wedge and fractal format. And then the 5-wave, what matters is the 5-wave. And here you have the expansion. Here you have the growing spread, which comes up to, here's the macro trend resistance and here's the micro trend resistance, both doing similar patterns that we could recognize as what I call horns of the devil. It's basically a double top. It's just my way of saying double top, but it's a little bit different from the double top. A proper horn, a proper devil's horn or horns of the devil, has that second higher UTAD, which you see here. See the first one and then the second one. The second one's the largest. Down here also, you have the first horn where we went into overbought territory, came back down underneath the resistance line, and then it tried to flip it to support. Instead, it came up and it gave even more push. It had even more inertia behind it, but it was stopped out all the same, even though it went up a little higher, and then it promptly came back down underneath this would be the micro resistance line. So it's forming like two large spikes. The second one slightly larger than the first. We see that also here on the macro as well. You see this first stab. Now this is the macro, and here it would be the second horn right here, and then here would be the LPSY, which would be this area here. I don't know if you could see it. See all of these things. This is why pattern recognition, guys, is all this stuff replicates and plays out. Not cookie cutter. I always say not cookie cutter, but close enough to where you can get a good footing on it and find some stability and some familiarity on where the price may be going with the volume. So, and then here with this, here with the, so like basically what happens, if you've seen my videos before, I did a video where I likened Bitcoin at these positions, at these devil horn positions on top of a resistance, trend resistance, whether it be macro or micro, as an animal, as like a deer that's been shot. Basically, it's bleeding out at this point, and it's falling back into the wedge. But it doesn't fall back in a straight line. Just like if you shoot if you know, those of you who hunt, if you don't get a clean kill on an animal, on a deer, it's going to run off back, into the forest, and you're going to have to track it. And so Bitcoin often, when it's a gut shot atop of a resistance line, it's going to fall back into a structure. And it's not just Bitcoin, it's any stock or Forex or commodity that is overbought and beginning to retrace. It very, very rarely retraces in a straight line. Like a deer just doesn't run in a straight line and lie down and die and you can go get it. It's usually not that easy, right? It takes off. And it's fighting for its life. And that is what these little areas here, these micro rallies, like the one we're seeing right now, that's what this was here. So the market makers know that, everyone's shorting at this point, and it's, because they're charting these things just like we are. What I'm doing isn't special. I just, I'm just following the trend. I'm following the patterns, but they know that that a lot of retail is going to be shorting. So what they'll do is they'll fake them out, and they'll have rallies, or these are kind of like death rallies or death throws, where the deer is fighting for its life. It's coming back up to retest these key junctures, which in this case would be the macro and micro trend support. And we're seeing it down here also on the micro. That's what this is, this little micro rally coming back up that we just had today that everyone is freaking out over. If you go on the TradingView chat, all the moon boys are saying, this is it, never again 40,000, never again 42,000, we're going to 70, we're going to 100 grand now, suckers, bears, and bears are suckers and all that. What they're doing is they're getting really excited over a death rally. Bitcoin is going down. It's just a matter of what the trajectory is and where to track it, how deeply it's going to go into the forest, what kind of twists and turns it's going to take. Is it going to go through? It's going to go around some trees. Is it going to lay down and then shoot back up again? It's not always a very clean kill, and it doesn't always go straight down, but it does go down. And these death throw areas that come up in Wyckoff, we call these areas the LPSYs, or the last points of supply. And then the idea is comes up, it makes a stab at the resistance line, fails to make it, and then retreats a little further, a little deeper into the forest, comes up again, like here. I expect another one, perhaps in midpoint of this wedge, the 0.5 fib of this wedge. It'll make another stab at going back up to the resistance line, and then, but from there, I think it's inevitable that it's going to fall back, and then when it finally lays down and expires, then that is where we buy. That is where we begin to, if this is something that you're inclined to do, dollar cost average, DCA, then that would be a good area to begin. I contend that we are that this is the counter trend top on the macro. We're heading back down at some point. And then through the wolf wave theory would be the 1 and the 4. Draw the line through it, through the 1 and the 4 wave, and that brings us back exactly to trading range resistance, or TRR, which is roughly $25,000. That's if the deer comes down, breaks the support, and continues to retrace back down to here somewhere, and that would fall in line with Wyckoff schematic, I believe, number 2, distribution schematic number 2. Number 1 would be if it comes back to mitigate the lows here, but back at what we had in November of 22, the 15,000 or whatever it was. It could go back down that far, but who knows about that? I don't know. But it could. Everything's plausible, feasible. But for now, surely it's just a matter of time. Patience is going to make you the money. If those who have strong hands know how to wait and have governance over their emotions. And so just wait for the deer. Just wait for the deer to lie down. And so on the micro now, this we draw out the wolf wave theory, and we do the 1 and the 4. Here, the 1 and the 4 is kind of like flush with each other. You see on the macro, but on the micro, the 4 goes deeper than the 1. This wedge is has a little bit more of a spread between the 2 and the 3 and the 4. So the 1 and the 4 brings it down a little more. So this would be the wolf wave that we'd be looking at some point. This price, we can expect this 5 wave to retrace through the structure and at some point intersect or touch this wolf wave, and there would be a good area perhaps to if you're shorting, definitely to take profit or to sell, because there the deer is inclined to maybe have another death rally and come up perhaps to retest. This time would be the micro support line of this wedge, and then from there further down. And this area would be, I guess, the 40,000, 39,000, let's say. So it remains to be seen, but we are seeing clear tops here, horns of the devil, like I said. And the second horn is really, it's just informed interests, composite operators, professional traders selling into the pump, the FOMO pump. They're generating liquidity way up here because they already know that this is this is going to pull back, but they're trying to sell it as high as they can. You buy low, you sell high. Everyone knows that. So of course they're going to try to sell it as high as they can and generate demand. And but with the end game of pulling the floor out at the end and then repurchasing down here, buying the deer, they're selling you a dead deer, and then they're gonna buy it once it's died, they're going to rebuy it, and then there's going to be a rebirth of a brand new deer. And they want the new deer, they want the fresh deer. They're selling you the old meat up here. So in a nutshell. So, and that's what causes, like I said in the beginning of this video, the horns of the devil, which is a conspicuous pattern that that you can study. It comes in different forms. But the most common one that I see is the first horn, which would be the buying climax, and then the sign of weakness, and then the secondary, the automatic rally, secondary test, and then the UTAD here. So BC UTAD, BC UTAD, BC UTAD, and all the UTADs are gigantic bull traps, just really big bull traps, and then they try to juice it down, try to get a little more bonus points with the LPSYs, which are the death throws or the death rallies, as the animal, as Bitcoin tries to make its way back up and reclaim these lost support levels. So that's all I got for now. I'm going to get going. 16 minutes. I'm going to have some more coffee, and I'm going to wish you happy and safe trading. And until next time, until the next episode of our series, I wish you the best and strong hands. We'll talk to you soon. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. Check out our Discord trading group if you'd like to take your trading to the next level. Find out how to be safe and accurate in the bear market. This is really where you learn how to trade in the bear markets, right? This is where you learn your TA. So by the time the reversals come and the bull markets come, you're armed with knowledge. You know the Fibonacci's, you know the patterns. You're versatile in Wolf Wave, Elliott Wave, VSA, Wyckoff schematics, and that means, you know what that equals? Ka-ching. That equals money. That equals a lot of money. That equals prosperity in the bull markets. And you'll see some of the gains that we make, that I make. My charts, you could look at my old charts. I mean, 200, 300, 400% charts weekly. So anyway, stay tuned and look into it. Check out my chart histories. And like I said, I keep it very affordable in my group, in my trading group. Check us out if you're serious about this, and stop getting wrecked in the crypto markets and learn how to score those big W's. All right, let me let you go, and I will talk to you later. All right, guys, bye. I'm out of here. Adios.